Ooh.
Yeah.
Just looking up. Tracey Kutschker, I'm Director Curator at Salmon Arm Art Gallery, and I'm here today with artist Zev Tiefenbach and Aaron Leon. We are taking delivery of both their works today. Exceptional, amazing photographers. We're so lucky to have them in this exhibition. So we're looking at Aaron Leon's piece right now, and we'll be installing it pretty quick, and then we'll have a look at Zev's collection of works. We're just thrilled to be able to have art in the gallery again, and very excited to have these gentlemen in the show.
I guess when we center the Anthropocene, the age of the climate right now that we've put ourselves in, a lot of the conversations are mostly the driving force is Western consumerism that's going to put us here, and a lot of the knowledge that gets pushed away is indigenous knowledge. So I kind of wanted to kind of have those in conversation with each other. So I brought these characters from some of our spectacle, our story. We have Coyote and Porcupine coming back to kind of talk about like, okay, we're here in this age, or maybe it's past this age of the Anthropocene, and they've been here before this age, they will be here after this age. Maybe they're talking right now in our current age about what's happening, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to make like a little showcase of like what might they be talking about.
The entire image is super crisp.
Mm-hmm.
The water is spectacular. It's like you've done it with the super fine Sharpie.
Yeah, the water turned out really nice in that one. So yeah, everything around here was shot on large format film, Portrait 400. Yeah, it was pretty bright, so it was a pretty fast shutter, so everything's super crisp. I ended up putting on my whole camera bag and everything in like a garbage bag and paddling out to like the other side of the river to get the shot. Yeah.
This is all the behind the scenes stuff nobody ever knows about when you present photography. Is
Yeah.
all the work that the photographer went to get the shot.
Yeah, it looked pretty ridiculous going over there, but and then yeah, trying to find this time where it wasn't populated because it's a popular beach, because I didn't really want any humans in there. I did have a couple shots where there were people kind of hanging around, and I thought that might be a nice dynamic, but I shot this before the current pandemic, so it's right now it kind of feels a bit more apocalyptic than anything. Yeah, like I really wanted to put those two sets of knowledge in conversation. Like we have the Western knowledge that's driven us to the Anthropocene, and yeah, our indigenous knowledge, which is always pushed out of talks. And when we talk about like human climate change, usually indigenous people aren't really centered in that conversation. Because if we were, we might not be in our current climate catastrophe.
Exactly.
This entrance to the beach has jumped into the news in the last week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, to you, is that relevant or significant, or does that add another layer? Are you interested in that in terms of how someone would read the photograph?
I'm not too sure where the actual line is, but I would say most of this is public reserve private property. So that little alleyway that people always park on, like on the other side of, like pretty much right here, is actual private property, and that's kind of been like conflict, I guess. And it kind of speaks to how reserve lands are treated too. Like just because they're part of a reserve, people think, oh well, we can use it, and because it's part of a reserve, sometimes it's not as policed as well, and it's left up to the band to police that. So that creates a lot of access issues. And for me, yeah, it's great that you brought up the bridge, because I actually kind of forgot about that piece. One of the reasons why I wanted to center it here is because that bridge, it's kind of been talked about as like metaphorically a connection between the two communities, because we have the reserve here, we have Interview on that other side. So that was kind of like one of the thoughts that was going through my head. And yeah, we see like a lot of leftover waste from all the floaters and everybody using this waterway, and yeah, we see the beer cans in the river, and yeah. So this is kind of like coming into conversation with that land use.
I think this image was taken in 2007, about a year after the Okanagan Park wildfires. The site of the wildfire that had been parkland was sort of being converted into a housing development to kind of, as part of Kelowna's really parabolic growth at the time. My partner, Mia, would say like, oh, when I was a kid, people couldn't dream that there would be houses up there because there's no water, and then they do, and there's a great pride and a great joy and a great zeal to do that, and so I found when I moved here that the religion of the Kelowna area was land development, and peers that I had and friends that I knew were dropping their jobs and trying to build houses and buy lots and, you know, participate in that boom, which turned into a bust and then is turning into a boom again. But the way that we play those boom bust games on the landscape it's really intriguing to me, and it represents a vision of how I think this community, or the community particularly in Kelowna, but not much less here in Salmon Arm, views landscape as part of that boom-bust commodity cycle of development.
Kind of brings up the idea of like clearing the land, and a lot of like colonialism has happened by happenstance, or like these little kind of tricks, or these kind of things where by chance something happened and they were able to develop that land, and yeah, it kind of really brings in that idea of like trying to conquer the land, and like you were saying, well, you couldn't fathom making a house there, but they did it, and that kind of is really something that I've seen in colonialism a lot.
While I was in New Orleans right after Hurricane Katrina, someone pointed out to me something that was really, really interesting, and it relates to this and to what you're saying somewhat, is that almost every sports stadium development was done on land that was owned by a community of color. And so these kinds of appropriations of land are commonplace and necessary for the colonial project. And so here, we're doing the exact same thing with the wildfires. Not necessarily like appropriating it, like this land wasn't habitated, well, I shouldn't even say that. I mean, the whole process of rehabitating land in this part of the country is extremely problematic because this is all unceded territory, right? But it's taking it over and finding ways, whether it be natural disaster or the need for development or the need for entertainment, to repossess the land and turn it into a capitalist venture.
Thanks so much to Zev Tiefenbach and to Aaron Leon for a peek at their work at these incredible light boxes. So we're so excited to get them installed and to get ready for our preview night, which is Friday, August 14th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Everyone is welcome to have a little sneak preview, and then the exhibition goes from August 15th to October 10th. And gallery hours are Tuesday to Saturday, 11 till 4. We hope to see you there.